Welcome to another installment of Creative Solutions. I'm Travis Chapman.
I'm Kenneth Vaughn.
Man, you're looking rather casual today. Must be Saturday. Yeah, we're super dressed down. It is Saturday. We decided to come on together and get a few messages out to our listening audience. Today we're going to be talking about learning to grow in hard places. And this is something that my mother always told me growing up. Son, you can never give up. You have to learn to deal with conflict, overcome barriers. Don't go around the mountain just because that's the easiest route. You know, if it takes you going through the mountain or over the mountain to learn and to move through different experiences, then do so. Don't always try to figure out what's the easiest way to get out of a situation, because as we experience things, that gives us wisdom, gives us knowledge, and we learn from these things and we move forward. So talk to us a little bit about, you know, whether it's a personal, professional, whatever things that you went through that has helped you to go through and learn in hard places or grow in hard places.
I want to kind of talk about two different points. One, I would talk from a personal experience. When I was younger, right, my cousins and them used to always have Jordans. They used to always have the nicer clothes. And I used to always be frustrated with my mom. I was like, man, why can't I have Jordans? And you know, when I had the Etonics, not the $50
right,
some horrible looking shoes, and it was frustrating to me because I wanted to have what everybody else had, but that was not, you know, that was not my situation.
Right.
So I grew up struggling. I ended up, you know, because we didn't have enough money, all of us through newspapers, so I became a paper boy and started generating money and being able to pay for my stuff through those things. But it was because of those challenges, you know, I worked harder, I outworked people, and I thought about, you know, having money differently. So when other people were going out to the clubs, I bought my house. You know, when other people were kicking and stuff like that, I was positioning myself and positioning my family so that we wouldn't struggle. But it's because of those paperboy moments. It's because I didn't have it, and because the feeling of looking at my shoes and then looking at my cousin's shoes, like, man. We you got all stuff. I thought we were rich, but I guess not. Secondly, for students, I want to go through and tell you that, you know, you going through a rough spot it's not terminal. It's not finite. I was speaking to another student who was talking about the challenges that she has, and I said, baby, I know your life story, and I know your situation is not perfect. I said, but let me tell you, 9 out of 10 people would have failed down. You know, if that would have been them. I said, but you don't understand that you are strong enough to be there. And she crying, and I was like, but you got to learn to overcome it, because you can't go back now. You survived this particular point. You're a senior. You got to push your way through. So one of the things is there's character that's being developed as you go through and you move through the hard parts, because it's developing character and it's developing muscle, but it's also developing muscle memory, so that when you get older, you know how to move past it.
Yes. I think I may have time to really articulate one area that I was able to grow in that was a challenge for me. Those who are close to me know that I almost died when I was 10 years of age. I was crippled, couldn't walk. The doctors couldn't find out what was wrong. Had a fever of 103, 104 degrees. And my mother stayed by my bedside and prayed for me and with me all along the way. When I recovered, you know, I had a limp, you know, I had a difficult time walking, and I had lost a lot of weight. And so my self-esteem had dropped. And so it was challenging to get back to the point to where I was in terms of athleticism, because coming up, you know, I played a lot of basketball and football and baseball with my brothers. And so to go from that point, being very athletic, to a point where I could barely walk and was struggling to walk and was really shamed and embarrassed to be in front of people and to be in crowds because I had lost so much weight, from that point to regain my self-esteem and to regain that athleticism was an accomplishment in itself. So I'm able to have those conversations with our students, knowing where they are. It doesn't matter what they're dealing with in their home situation, because a lot of times when they come to our school, we don't know what they just dealt with before they left the house to come to school, or the night before, or the week before. And so in building those relationships, and we always talk about relationships, because when you build those relationships with the students, they open up to you. They're comfortable with having these certain conversations with you, and then we can find out their challenges, their obstacles, their barriers, and their conflicts, and we can get to the root of the problem and help them deal with it and assist them in growing in those hard places.
And I think the key thing, just for teachers, I think it's so important that you go through and have those tough conversations and get, like what Travis said, at the root of it. But also you got to tell people, listen, the reality of it is that education is the one equalizer. No matter where you come from, any demographic, economic position, that if you have the faith within yourself and you have the willingness to go through and pass or overcome those barriers, then being a millionaire, billionaire is not something foreign. You see what I'm saying? You can overcome academic things too. Nobody thought that Albert Einstein would be who he would call, who was called to be. You see what I'm saying? And if he had yielded to the expectation, that tough place, you see what I'm saying? We wouldn't have E = MC² today. But the truth is that you have to look at that student, you have to have that conversation, but you got to tell them, listen, that you play an active part in moving out of that rough spot and that rough situation.
Absolutely. And let me just articulate one last piece here before we close out. Think about, when you seed your lawn, and some of those seeds fall among the crack of the concrete, and it's still able to grow through that concrete and prosper. You're spraying it with weed or grass killer, trying to get rid of it, and it keeps coming back over and over and over again. So what I'm telling you students and what I'm telling you teachers, you can't jump out of the smoke into the fire, okay? Sometimes you got to stay where you are, go through that conflict with the understanding that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Continue to prosper, continue to grow. Deal with your conflict and grow in those hard places. We're Creative Solutions. I'm Travis Chapman.
I'm Kenneth Vaughn.
Thank you for joining us.